I was once in a writer's room where one of the writers said all writers have a line that can describe more or less the essence of everything they write. It's a theme underlying whatever they write, even if it's not specifically the script is about that, some aspect of the script contains that theme. And we didn't really believe it at first. Then we went around the room and everyone found their own. Someone said, my line is, what's my place in the world? And another one said, my line is, life sure changes in a hurry. And someone said, I've got a secret. And someone said, my line was the masks we wear. And if I look back at all the scripts I've ever written, there's some elements about someone hiding who they really are from the world, and then sometimes from themselves.
No, that's great. That's really interesting. That's kind of funny too, because it's almost Vader in a way.
Yeah, yeah, very much.
Yeah, I mean, he was a little very, very deeply troubled.
Yeah.
Keith, do you remember what when we were discussing and I was telling you, like, with James' movie, how ironic and how wonderful it would be. James is doing this movie, so how much pleasure would he take? If you want to finish that thought, Keith.
Well, I think that you would have a really good shot at being able to do the novelization of you've already got the soundtrack.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe one of you guys has an in for me. You can put in a good word.
We'll try. I'm working with the producers of Wrong Side Bob now with the Enabled. They're generously offering 1% of all funds raised. So another reason for you all to go out there, check out the site, check out some of the perks. I actually wanted to get in on some of the be able to say I was day one, and so I had already downloaded the album from iTunes. Man Walks Into a Bar. And now I'm biased because I too am from Chicago, grew up and was raised in Chicago, so it's got a very familiar sound to it. I'd call it a slightly upbeat blues, not want to go out and hang yourself blues, just kind of like it's kind of a bummer looking place, kind of like I don't know, I like it. It's really, it's good, and that's the song Wrong Side Bob has that kind of like a locomotive feel to it, like a rolling and it's actually, I've been humming it in my head for half this interview now because I've been working with it on a few different things, but I really started getting into the music, and it was also because I was using some of it for and some from Waterline for the Autodesk University soundtrack. For the slideshow, so I've got a lot of your music in my head now, and even a couple of the kids' songs, and that was kid approved.
Nice.
Played them for my kids, and I said, well, what do you guys think of this? I like that one. That's pretty good, Dad.
That's great to hear. It was so gratifying to me to hook up with Enable. It's such a great group, and it's doing such amazing work. 3D printing and giving these prosthetic hands to kids who don't have them. It's God's work.
I've got a few in the background here. These come in a variety of designs. There's probably 6 different designs, but the Raptor, Raptor Reloaded, and Gamma Raptor, they're really our bread and butter. They're the ones designed to work on a $300 kit in the Amazon, or a $3,000 Ultimaker in a Penthouse.
One of the things I love about these is they don't, as previous hands that I've seen, they don't attempt to mimic a real hand.
Right.
They're like hands with attitude. They're graphic novel hands. They're Jedi hands. One of the sort of mythic things that drew me to it as well is Luke got his hand cut off by Darth Vader. And then he got his own prosthetic hand that looked kind of like these inside anyway, and then and then he saved the universe. So
Yep.
I love the look of these hands. If I was a kid and I didn't have a hand, I would love something like this.
Yeah, well, and for a while it was going towards more and more anthropomorphic, and really the kids, they just wanted cool colors. So then we started worrying about licensing deals, and if it's an Iron, so there are still people that do the Iron Man and the the others, and Marvel's been nice enough not to really have a problem with that. But the kids, they just want them to look cool and look cool. I mean, I've got a few here. This one is just this is a bag of parts, but it's just purple and black and just kind of neat. I mean, it's not any particular hero. I did make an Ahsoka Tano one. It got sent away. There were some pictures of it in some articles. It was sent off to World Maker Faire in New York.
I mean, instead of becoming more anthropomorphic and trying to look like a real hand, which never quite does, so it ends up looking like, gee, that almost looks like a real hand. It's these hands that aren't even trying to do that. They're just trying to look totally cool.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's got to give hope to a lot of people. That's just a wonderful project.
It does well, and that's really what got me into it. I've always been one of those people that wanted to be maybe not the first pioneer, but the next stage. So in the 70s, that was learning basic computing on a TRS-80. In the 80s, it was learning desktop publishing on a Macintosh. In the 90s, it was website design once the internet went graphic around 92 or 3. And then in 2000s, it was some CGI and video editing, and now it's 3D CAD and 3D printing. And I just can't think of somebody at a Maker Faire I was doing a while back said, there's just no more noble of a thing to do with a 3D printer yet than make a hand. And this would be the second most noble thing to do with a Star Wars toy, but yeah, it really is exciting. And I saw one too many articles about people doing it, and one of them was about a themed hand of some kind, and I thought, man, that making it for a kid in a neat cartoony look. It changes it. It's not a hook. It's not a crutch. It's an upgrade. It's
exactly.
You're not a cripple. You're Iron Man. This is Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, that's it. I gotta do this. So about a year ago, I joined, and it's been awesome. It pays nothing, but it's been the most rewarding year I've had.
I'll bet.
No, it's fantastic. Well, it'll pay in other ways, though.
Well, my kids are proud of me. That's you can't buy that. So
it's not a small thing,
No, changing lives with that. No, that's absolutely wonderful.
And I get to meet famous people now.
You look where we're sitting.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. James, is there anything else you'd like to add about Wrong Side Bob?
No, just everyone, please come visit the Indiegogo site, and some of what you give is going to go to Enable and to help these kids get their hands made. So we're trying to do a little good as well as serve our own needs.
That's fantastic, and what I was joking about before, like with the novelization, I think it would be wonderful for you to have a movie made, and then be able to decide, who's gonna. You get to choose somebody to write the novelization of your movie this time.
I think I can let that one go.
Yeah. No, that would be all you.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate the time that you've spent with us. And Keith, is there anything else that you'd like to ask James before we wrap?
Well, we were both talking about it yesterday, but kind of tentatively, almost worried about what the answer is going to be. what really struck for I'm obviously involved in this promotion of the movie, but I've come to be very attached to the idea of it being made, and I really do like the music, and seems like it's an interesting story I want to know more of. And Ronnie Cox, when you had first said the name, I didn't know who you were talking about, but when I saw who that was, I'm oh yeah, of course, that guy, character.
Yes.
A lot. And now I just saw something in an email about Gabby Ray, who I'm not familiar with, but she seems interesting too, and I guess she's going to be acting in it. But what struck me was it was just such a departure. Like we were talking about that as we were kind of deciding what to talk about in the interview. And I get all the medical shows, your medical background, and the sci-fi. You grew up in that, and even to a lesser degree, Melrose Place makes sense because I can understand that would be like, like I was telling to Jason, I up in Chicago. I mean, my brother lived on the Gold Coast for a little while, and that's a block or two away from Cabrini. So even the ritzier parts of Chicago, you are familiar with the grit and the other such. But from what my brief couple times in California, mostly in San Francisco area, there's certain areas where it's just this vacuous community of where people's social life is like the world to them. So I could see a community like Melrose Place, maybe that's was your impression when you first got out there or something. But the Wrong Side Bob, and God, I hope I'm not touching on anything touchy here, but it seems like a story, like personal struggle of somebody's life after, like the kind of story that somebody would tell after they made it through something pretty dark. It just doesn't seem like it's your life. Like from what I've read about you, it doesn't seem like you are Wrong Side Bob.
It's not my life really, but it feels very close to the things that I feel and have seen about people. It's about the people that I lived up in an area of California called the Mother Lode for about 10 years, which is the gold rush country on Route 49. And it was full of small little, backwoods roadhouses like this. And these characters inhabited all those places. So I know those guys real well. And beyond that, there's a way in which there's a little piece of me in every one of the characters in this. The sort of, a drifter who can't really remember who he was. There are times that, I've been so many different people over the course of my life. A doctor and a singer and a writer and a this and a that. It's like sometimes it's hard for me to wonder, well, who am I really? And that's kind of what this is about. This feels like just a personal story to me about the way all of us ask, who am I really? That's kind of what this is about.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it looks really interesting.
I hope so.
No, it's fantastic. I really, really, again, I really appreciate you spending the time with us. Really, really enjoyed it.
It's my pleasure.
And yeah, so there you have it. We have that was a great discussion with James Kahn, and you're watching this hopefully on our YouTube channel or on StarWarsReporter.com. And Facebook, our growing number of members on Facebook have it's really been great to see, and we look forward to supporting James Kahn. And I'm thinking of starting a campaign to get you to write the novelization for episode 8.
Love that. Start that bandwagon going.
Your friend Alan doing the 7, but we got a few more movies in the pipe.
That's right. I'm raring to go on 8. So if you can get a groundswell viral sort of shout out to Random House or to Lucasfilm or whoever's going to be involved in that decision, I'm ready.
Well, it's not just 7, 8, and 9. There's going to be the whole Han Solo offshoot. Right. I guarantee there's going to be a Boba Fett offshoot, and I'm hoping that my new Disney favorite is going to be doing it, Daniel Logan.
Yeah.
Someone I met for the first time this past Star Wars weekend. A really charming guy, and would make a great 20-somethings Boba.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of
stuff, but episode 8 is really in my sights.
Cool.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, we'll have to make a little bit of noise about that.
Good.
Well, again, we really appreciate it, and time very, very well spent, and just a real pleasure to meet you. And
I had a great time talking to you guys. I appreciate the interest.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody in Star Wars Reporter